Hello, this is astrologer coach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in almost 14 degrees of Pisces, which will be exact on September 6th at 3:03 a.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, or 12:03 a.m. right after midnight LA time, which is Pacific time, West Coast time in the US. Now, the moon at a full moon phase, the moon is always opposite the sun. So in this case, the moon in creative, free-flowing Pisces is opposite the sun in detail-oriented, practical, scientific Virgo, right? Now, the Virgo-Pisces polarity has to do with our ability to connect from the heart and from the head, right? So just to bring those two polarities together, so it's the polarity between logic and intuition. Right? Now, we also talk about oppositions and polarities in more detail in our next forecasting forum when we talk about the Jupiter-Uranus opposition that's coming up. And so if you want to hear a little bit more about that, more details, then feel free to hang in there until the end. Towards the end of the video, we'll talk about that and also about a special offer that I have for this month. All right, but let's dive right in into the full moon for this month. For the next 2 weeks, how do we integrate Pisces with Virgo, right? That's really the task with a full moon. And so this may seem a little challenging given that Virgo's detailed analytical understanding is right opposite the Pisces call to open up our heart and allow for all, even the stuff that seems paradoxical to the mind, right? And so in fact, Pisces on an energetic level realizes or recognizes that there is no separation, that everything is interconnected. So there's a real need for the left and right brain to merge and to find harmony, right? The left brain being the rational and the right brain being the creative and the intuitive, right? Now, the mind acts like a filtering mechanism that helps us focus and functions more effectively, right? But in doing so, it has to kind of like narrow our view a little bit of the understanding of the world, because it has to kind of take away all the stuff that's not essential or not seen as essential, so we can function more fully and more efficiently, right? That's the job of the mind in a sense. So ask yourself here, what is my mind seeking to change or improve in my life right now, right? And what does my heart want to open up to? What does my intuition want to guide me towards, right? And what might come through if my heart and my mind could work together in unison, if I can connect the two sides of my brain, basically, right? And as always, with all the questions that I ask in my video, they are available on my website at astrologercoach.com as well, just in case you want to meditate on them or journal on them, or if you want to just marinate in the questions, feel free to go to my website after September 3rd. I will post them on that day. And then you can also receive them via email if you wanna do that. That's available too. You can email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write weekly forecasts in the subject line, and my assistant will add you to that mailing list. All right. Now back to the full moon chart. Virgo analyzes, Pisces feels. And so Virgo seeks physical wholeness, especially on our own health, our own physical body. There's a need for efficiency. There's a need for making it whole and wholesome, right? Pisces, on the other hand, reminds us that there is even a greater wholeness than just on a physical level, which is the interconnection with all of life. And so there's really a sense that Virgo needs to sort of like work through in the real world. It needs to be of service and work through the practical implications of things, whereas Pisces needs to learn how to trust inner guidances above all else. And so when those two things are balanced within ourselves, and when we're able to really use the Virgo and Pisces energy in a healthy way, then we're able to discern without judgment, serve without obligation, and love all of creation, including ourselves, fully, right? Now, the shadow side of Virgo is that of self-deprecation and judgment, which labels things in terms of good or bad, right or wrong, right? And we've talked about that in previous videos before, right? Rather than, coming from a neutral place, which would be the higher vibration of Virgo, coming from a neutral place where we're observing and being able to see scientifically, is this useful or is it not useful? Is it productive? Is it unproductive? Does this work or does this not work for me, right? But from a neutral place, that would be the scientific ability of Virgo, right? Judgment, when we use the shadow side of Virgo, where judgment comes in, it sort of can even be regarded as a subtle form of violence, because judgment always creates separation. It creates a separation from others, but also a split within ourselves. Because when we separate from others, we also feel that inside of us, because we know that that goes against what is, which is that everything is one. Right? And so it really closes off our heart and limits our ability to learn, to improve ourselves, right? Because when we're judging, whether we're doing the judgments toward ourselves or towards others, there's a limitation that starts to happen. We're capping ourselves, we're not allowing ourselves to improve or get better at something, or to connect more fully with other people, So it keeps us really stuck in that duality place, because Virgo and the mind is about duality, that good, bad, right, wrong. That's the duality, right? Where we really, in that place, we defend our position or we attack other people from that place, right? So it is a form of subtle violence. And we need to remember that, right? And the antidote to that violence is Pisces. Because Pisces, at its highest expression, understands that we are all souls in various states of development, that we all walk a different path. We all came in for different reasons to connect to different things in our lives, to explore different things in our lives. And so the message is that we're all love at our core, and that everything ultimately is an expression or variation of love, right? So that's sometimes hard to understand from a mental perspective, right? Because the mind likes to categorize, right? Now, the shadow side of Pisces, because every energy has a shadow side as well, right? So Pisces also has a shadow side, is the lack of boundaries. It's escapism of various sorts, and or victimization that we feel in the world, right? That can be the shadow side of Pisces. Now, the remedy to that lower vibration of Pisces is the higher vibration of Virgo. So as you can see, like each side has a higher vibration and a lower vibration, or a light side and a dark side. And each side benefits from the other polarity, right? From the polarity, from the highest vibration of the other polarity, the shadow side of the other side benefits, right? So they need each other in a way, right? So the ability to focus on detail, for example, or practical choices, or our daily engagement in life and how we best use or how we can improve this daily engagement in life, that supports the shadow side of Pisces and helps us to then bring that into a healthier, energetic place, right? So when we integrate, both of those polarities, when we marry the sharp mind that Virgo has with the wise and loving heart that Pisces has, that's when we really can create complete unity and wholeness, right? So ask yourself, does my inner dialogue serve as a support or as a distraction for wholeness, right? Or from wholeness? And where could I trust my intuition more than I have before? And that's a very important question, because the way we're raised, or in our society that we live on, especially in the Western society, right? Very often intuition is not regarded as something that should be listened to, right? We're raised to honor our mind, to honor our ability to decide what's right or wrong, right? We're not very often encouraged, to trust our intuition. So we really need to find a way to bring that back into balance, to allow ourselves to trust our intuition just as much as we're listening to our sharp minds, right? And to our rational and intelligent, to our rationality and our intelligence, right? So where could I trust my intuition more than I have before? Very important question, right? Now, the moon aligns with Neptune in Pisces with this full moon chart, and this brings an additional component into this full moon chart that really emphasizes compassion, acceptance, forgiveness, especially in relationship to all the moon qualities, which is family, the mother archetype, home, our past in general, our upbringing in general, right? And so we also need to bring some unconditional love towards our feeling body, because the moon also represents our feeling body and our responses towards the world. All of that is very helpful right now. So by allowing that to happen, we're really aligning ourselves with this full moon energy. And so we also may feel a little bit more sensitive with Neptune being a part of that, right? Because Neptune very much takes away boundaries. It's very much connected to the energetic and emotional body. So we're more in tune to other people's feelings and suffering at this time. And so it's very important that we understand that there is a positive side to that as well, which is that it gives us the opportunity to experience the full range of all feelings that are out there in the universe, and to really sense and understand our interconnectedness with everything around us more fully. And this is important because if we understand this interconnectedness and this oneness, we can start to feel more the support that is given to us from other people or from the universe as well. So as best as you can, allow for the flow of all feelings for the next 2 weeks. Allow your heart to soften, open to the beauty that is that connectedness to all there is, how beautiful that is. And if you're not capable of doing that, if you feel overwhelmed, or if you feel that this sense of interconnectedness that you're feeling is feels uncomfortable in some way, then see if you can connect with nature. Nature is a really wonderful teacher for this. Nature really shows us that that everything can exist in harmony and can be in full acceptance with each other, even when there is imperfection, even when there is harshness, because nature can be very harsh as well, right? But it can show us that all can be functioning and working in unison together. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, connect to nature, go in nature and just take it all in and see the parallel between your own life and what you see out there, right? The other thing that can be very helpful with overwhelm can be spiritual practices. Anything that you can do, from like meditation, breathing exercises, mindfulness exercises. Also, what you can do is spiritual, energetic healing modalities. If you can use those for the next 2 weeks as a support system, whether you do this already on a regular basis or whether you're doing it just once in a while, the next 2 weeks is a great time to explore that a little bit further. Things like Reiki or Access Consciousness bars or Shiatsu or acupuncture, or there's so many other modalities out there. Pick one that works for you. All of these can be very helpful to tap into the higher vibrations of Pisces and Neptune for the next 2 weeks. So what else can help us experience our connection to the all, right? What else is out there? You can do things like creative stuff. Creative things are very much in alignment with the Pisces Neptune energy, like the flow of dance, singing, music, sound healing, also can be very powerful, right? So there's so many things that we can connect with that Pisces energy in a healthy way. Positive emotions such as love, gratitude, or compassion, also things that we can get more in alignment for the next 2 weeks. So for example, like a gratitude journal, if you write down the little and the big things that you feel grateful for, and especially in connection to your feeling body and to your intuitive body, write down what is wonderful about that, and ask yourself, what tools could I use to shift my view of reality from duality to unity, right? Virgo, Pisces, from separation to oneness, from wanting to understand, which is sort of like a mind activity, we wanting to understand something, to understanding, which is a heart activity, right? So when you're just in the space of understanding, you're already coming from your heart, right? Rather than wanting to understand, or trying to figure things out. And just see what comes up when you ask yourself these questions, and also see what tools you have in your toolbox that might support you with this. Now, the moon in Pisces also sextiles Pluto in Capricorn and makes a quincunx to Venus in Leo. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's first talk about the moon-Pluto aspect, right? That is all about surrendering our fears about our position in the world or our achievements that we have out there in the world. And it makes it a little bit easier for us to surrender these fears, surrender our anxieties around this. And to trust a little bit more that we're doing okay, that we're okay out there in the world, that we're able to achieve, even if we're slowing down a little bit, even if we're allowing things to unfold, right? So it's really an opportunity to be guided by our intuition, to be guided by inspiration, to be guided by the universe, by our higher self, by our soul self, and to really start to feel empowered by that relationship that we're having with our higher self, and feel more empowered, about a project or a task that we're currently engaging in that might really serve us long term, right? But really, in order to really do that, ask yourself, what might be possible if I heeded the subtle messages in my heart or in my intuitive body that steer me towards success, right? Great question to ask for the next 2 weeks. And just remember, you don't need to know the answers to all these questions. Just allow the answers to come to you. Just investigate the question, right? Sit with it, meditate with it, journal on it, right? Now, the quincunx to Venus in Leo, that's a little bit more complicated, that aspect, because there's really an inner adjustment that needs to happen here. With the moon in Pisces, we're more connected to that flowy, feely oneness energy, and with the Venus in Leo, that's all about self-expression of ourselves and giving ourselves love for who we are and how we express ourselves uniquely. So ask yourself these questions here with these incompatible energies. How can I learn about self-love and how to love the world as if it was a reflection of my own heart and soul? And I think that's a very beautiful question to ask. So just allow yourself to kind of sit with that for a little bit. And then also ask yourself, how can I do that while expressing my unique soul self, my unique spirit, right? Because each of us came here to express something unique as well. Even though we are all one, we're also here to express something very unique, right? And then the last question that you can ask yourself is, where does the inner and the outer experience of love and connectedness meet? And I think that's a very powerful question as well, because very often we're not so aware that there is a meeting point between the inner and the outer, right? Very often we're either just seeing the outer connection that we're having with love, or with receiving love or wanting love, right? Or we're only aware of our inner work that we're doing to love ourselves, right? But where's that meeting point between that inner vibrating of love with the outer experience of connecting to being love or connecting with love outside of ourselves, right? Where's that meeting point? Now, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, so I want to say a little bit about Jupiter as well. Jupiter is right now in Libra and making some aspects to some other planets in the chart as well. But so this really asks us to take a closer look at our relationships, or you could also say at the beliefs and ideologies that we have regarding our relationships, and the balance of feminine and masculine energies within these relationships. And so just remember that relationships manifest on so many levels. You know, the relationship you have with yourself, the relationship you have with your soul self, the relationship that you have with a significant other, with family, professional relationships with strangers out there in the world. So there's many levels of how we relate to the world and to ourselves and to others. So what's that balance between the feminine and masculine energy within all of these relationships, right? So ask yourself, what are my beliefs or reoccurring thoughts that I have about all of these relationships in my life, right? And what about beliefs or recurring thoughts that I have about equality, justice, peace, right? Peace within myself, out there in the world. Justice that I feel, what does that even mean for myself or out there in the world, right? Equality. How do I treat myself? Do I treat myself as an equal with other people, right? How do I see equality out there in the world? You know, what are those beliefs and those reoccurring thoughts that pop up around all those things, right? And what would self-responsibility add to that? Because, you know, Jupiter is also making a sextile to Saturn, and Saturn is all about responsibility. So how can we bring a certain amount of self-responsibility to answering these questions, right? And do I see a balanced life as something that's possible for me? You know, because Jupiter in Libra, you know, that Libra is all about balance, you know, and is that something that I see possible for myself? And how might the expression of joy impact that? Another part of this full moon chart is the Sun in Virgo makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn. And so this means that we find it easier right now to see more clearly where do we have fears or behaviors or destructive patterns that are really holding us back. And so we can ask ourselves here, how could my discernment and practical decision making help me manifest my long-term goals, right? Because by discerning and by really seeing very clearly, you know, where I'm being held back, that really helps me to start to take action or move towards my long-term goals in a way where I can start to improve how I do things, in a way where I can start to see, okay, maybe I need to make an adjustment here and move forward in a different way, right? Maybe I need to let go of something in order to improve something, right? So Mercury, which is the ruler of Virgo, is also a big part of this full moon chart, and it's currently coming to a halt in 28 degrees of Leo, and this halt is happening within 24 hours of the full moon becoming exact. So the energy of Mercury is quite exalted and quite heightened at the time of the full moon, and Mercury, because it's ending its 3-week retrograde phase right now as well, we're really being asked to take whatever we've learned during those 3 weeks, whatever has come up for us, to shift our focus now towards the outside world and bring those lessons to the outside world and start to implement what we've learned within our lives, right? So ask yourself, where have I gained more clarity in the past 3 weeks? And what did I learn about my inner dialogue in the past 3 weeks? How do I talk to myself, right? And what serves me around that and what doesn't? And how might I share my findings in a healthy way with the world or with other people? And what needs to be addressed right now in regards to my daily routines, to my health routines, in regards to self-expression, joy, right? So all the Virgo Leo stuff, right? And in what ways could I declutter my life so I can experience more joy? Because, Mercury is in Leo and is halting in Leo. So it's really about how can I connect more to my inner joy, to my heart, right? And how can I express that also out there in the world? And what needs to happen so I can do that, right? So what do you need to declutter so you can do that? Now, Mercury is also moving over the degree of the August 21st eclipse that occurred. So we need to pay attention to any messages that we're receiving as well between now and September 8th. So anything that comes in, whether it's through a conversation that we have with someone or a conversation we have with ourselves or books that we're reading or something that we're watching, online or on TV or song lyrics that we're hearing, anything that connects with us right now, with our heart, pay attention. What resonates with you right now? What brings you the most joy? Look for the joy factor in things, right? What enlivens your healthy inner child, right? Because Leo energy is about the inner child. It's about playfulness. It's about being able to tap into what turns us on, right? What we want to share with the world. So it's really about paying attention to all those things. What do we want to express? What do we want to create, right? So pay attention to what comes in. Pay attention to the messages that you're receiving between now and September 8th, all right? Now, Chiron is the last thing I want to talk about in this full moon chart, which is in Pisces, of course, right now. And it's making a quincunx to Mercury in Leo. And Chiron also made that same aspect to the solar eclipse 2 weeks ago. So again, there's sort of like a resonance back to that solar eclipse, which indicates that there's still some kind of inner struggle or adjustment that needs to be happening internally for us when it comes to our healing processes. Chiron in Pisces is about the inner emotional healing, the healing of our connection with God, with the universe, with our intuitive selves, right? And then also, Mercury in Leo is all about self-expression of our joy, of our spirit, of our, who we are on a unique level, what we're here to express. So there's currently a little bit of an inner struggle between the two. And so we really need to pay attention to how we can continue that inner healing that is still required, even though we're very much being drawn towards the outer world and towards that self-expression of ourselves, right? But in order to be able to fully do that, we have to really still pay attention to that healing journey that we're currently on. So ask yourself, what have I learned and perhaps even gained from any painful experiences within the past 2 weeks since the solar eclipse happened, right? What if I tried bringing love and understanding towards those inner wounds or insecurities that I'm feeling or connecting with right now? And what have I been avoiding or rejecting about myself or about life? And just also remember that some of this also happens on a collective level, right? Because Chiron is sort of the go-between between Saturn and Uranus. So it is bringing us towards our collective experience, towards our soul experience, right? Which the soul experience is the collective experience as well. So really what has been happening internally for you, but also collectively in regards to avoiding or rejecting something about ourselves or about life, or bringing up some wounds around feeling that connectedness with life and with other people, right? And what if I were to bring 5% more love to those areas in my life, right? And then some other questions that I think are also very powerful to add here is what might shift if I allowed myself to be fully human rather than trying to be superhuman? And what would kindness do in regards to that, right? Because very often we're so hard on ourselves and on other people too. Life has become this race to be superhuman. It starts even at a very early age already. Very young children are already being trained to be these superhuman humans. you know, but it's not serving us. It's not helping us to be open, to be in the flow, to be in our compassionate heart space, in kindness with ourselves. So it's really time to forgive and release what's holding us back so that we can really fully express and share our gifts in the here and now, which is what we're here to do, right? That Leo energy, that sun energy, we're here to fully express our gifts. But in order to do that, we need to release and let go of the past. We need to release and forgive ourselves first and foremost. So the motto of the moment here really is release the past, be present to the present. And love is really the most powerful healing force there is. And so as best as you can, harness the energy of love, compassion, gratitude, forgiveness. This is really what this full moon is trying to teach us, right? And it's very important in particular to aim this towards yourself first and foremost, because what you do for yourself has a ripple effect in the world. It automatically is felt by others. It automatically impacts others. So what we do for ourselves, we do for others, right? So harness this energy of love, compassion, and gratitude and forgiveness, and aim it towards yourself first and foremost. Now, a final note that I have for this full moon is that it really highlights the importance of developing, expressing, and trusting our feminine energies. And we've been really in this process, for the past 5 years already, very strongly, to really find more a way of allowing for the flow of things, right? Just like the tides in the ocean, just like our breath, that breathing in and breathing out, we're invited to allow for feelings, thoughts, sensations to move in and out again, right? And when we're scared, when we're scared, we tense up, we hold our breath, we hold the energy, right? So things cannot flow. There's no in or out movement. And what happens when we hold our breath for too long, right? There's no life. Life cannot happen without breathing. So that really is sort of like a metaphor for how when we're holding tension in our physical body, in our emotional body, in our mental bodies, when there is tension in some way, life is not able to happen or to breathe fully, right? So we want to be conscious of that. So what might be possible for myself, right? Ask yourself, what might be possible for myself if I transformed fearful reactions or judgments into compassionate observation of what is and allow it to be, giving it permission to just move through, to just allow it to move, just like the breath, in and out, right? And what if the greatest gift I could give myself was the liberation of my heart energies and the shift from separation to the experience of oneness? And the more we open our heart, the more we really liberate that heart energy, the more spaciousness we give that, the more we can feel that oneness with everything around us, the less we feel separate. So it's very important to really ask yourself that question. So for the next 2 weeks, as best as you can, trust yourself, listen to your heart, surround yourself with caring, loving energies. Sift, sort, simply let go of whatever is cluttering your closet, your psyche, or your path. But do it with an open heart, right? And remember that the ability to trust and move with our heart intuition is the most powerful weapon we have in the 21st century. Because there's been so much emphasis on closing ourselves off and separating ourselves from our intuitive body, that there's a complete imbalance around this right now. And so by really moving more into that place for each one of us, starting with right here, with right now, that is really what's required. And that is really the path forward for all of humanity, right? Now, if you do have an ascendant, a career point, or personal planets in 12 to 16 degrees of Pisces Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, then this full moon is going to impact you more than other people. But even if you don't have personal planets in those degrees or signs, take a look at the house placements that are being impacted by this full moon. So take a look at where does 14 degrees of Pisces and Virgo land in your birth chart, and look to see what these houses represent. You know, what areas of life are they affecting, right? And how can you create a balance or integrate those two areas of life, right? And how can you connect the rational with the intuitive thinking, right? Now, if you don't have a birth chart, or you don't know what I was just talking about here with looking at that in your birth chart, you know, feel free to watch my video on how to read your birth chart if you haven't seen it yet. Towards the end of that video, I will let you know how to get a visual of your birth chart for free online, and you will also learn how to apply what I share in my videos and my weekly forecasts to your own birth chart. And that's really valuable, you know, because you can really align yourself with what's currently going on energetically speaking. So feel free to email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write recording in the subject line if you want to receive that video with some handouts. It's also a great video to watch right before you join the monthly forecasting forums, which is what I want to talk about for a little bit as well, in case you're interested in joining us for the next one. But before I talk about the forums, I very quickly want to mention something that I've been doing with my dear friend Krista Mitchell, which is we've created a collaboration between the two of us where she provides guided meditations for my new moon and full moon videos. And Krista is a really wonderful spiritual author and crystal teacher and healer and mystic who does wonderful guided meditations that I've personally experienced multiple times, and I love her meditations. That's why I asked her to collaborate with me, and she takes my videos and customizes these meditations towards what's going on energetically speaking for each full moon and each new moon. So it's really, really valuable. Great support. So if you want to get that support, you know, feel free to go to her website, which is krista-mitchell.com. Krista with a K and Mitchell with 2 L's. I'll also have a link to her website underneath this video, so feel free to just click on that link or look at it on my website via my weekly forecasts. You know, set yourself up with some great support, you know, if that resonates with you, right? Now, let's talk about the monthly forecasting forums, which of course also is another form of support. And I've created these forums so that you can be more supported on a monthly basis with whatever's going on energetically speaking. And so it's really the next best thing besides getting a one-on-one reading with me. Only that, of course, it's a lot more affordable than doing a one-on-one reading with me. So really take advantage of this format if you want that kind of support, right? We will be looking at our birth charts actively ourselves during the 90-minute webinar, and you can ask questions, you can interact with me, and you can really apply what's happening or what's coming up in the month to your own chart. Now, our next forum will be on Thursday, September 7th. At 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, and 11 p.m. London time. And we will talk specifically, we will talk about the Pluto Station and the Jupiter-Uranus opposition that's coming up and will be fully felt, will be most intense between September 10th and October 10th. So right after the forum, we will start to feel these energies very strongly. And if you want to know how that's really impacting you personally, you know, feel free to register on my website at astrologercoach.com. And also, please be so kind and fill out my registration form, which is on that same page where you can make your payment at the very bottom of that page. Now, the good news is I also have a special offer for this month, and the special offer is that you can get a free copy of the video presentation that we recorded in August about the eclipses. So if you haven't watched that yet, if you want to know how the eclipses are going to impact you for the next 5.5 months, then definitely feel free to sign up for that special offer. You can get that for free by signing up for the next 2 forecasting forums for September and October. So basically you're getting 3 forums for the price of 2, Okay, so that's the special offer. You can go to my website at astrologercoach.com and just click on the link where it says special offer. And just remember also, if you're not available at the time of the live webinar, you can also ask questions in advance, and I will answer them during the webinar as best as I can within the 90 minutes that we have together. So make sure you fill out that form, because you can ask your questions there. Send them to me as quickly as possible. And also, if you want to ask questions, as best as you can, ask questions about what's occurring for each particular month. So for this month, about the Pluto station, about the Uranus-Jupiter opposition in relationship to your own birth chart, right? So those are really great questions to ask, because they're really helpful for everybody. Now, again, all the questions in this video are also available on my website at astrologercoach.com via my weekly forecast after September 3rd. You can also sign up to receive them via email if you email us at info@astrologercoach.com and just write weekly forecast in the subject line. Now, if you don't want to receive emails every week, but you do want to be in touch with me about my videos, special offers that I have, announcements that I'm making about courses, retreats, anything else about my business, feel free to sign up for my newsletter. That gets sent out twice a month, approximately, sometimes more often, but mostly twice a month. And you can email us again at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter in the subject line. All right, so whatever works for you, my assistant will add you to that particular mailing list. And if you have any questions for me, any general questions about the full moon or about astrology in general, you can always reach out to me at Sonja@astrologercoach.com. That's SONJA@astrologercoach.com. If you have a personal question, however, that requires of me to pull up your birth chart, I will ask you to book a reading with me, just so I can answer your question fully, and so I can also honor my time and your time. And you can book readings on my website. But if you have questions that are related to what we're covering in our monthly forecasting forums, I would advise you to just ask your question there and just sign up for the forum. All right? So all of that is available. Have a fantastic full moon. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.